My family was always amazing, at least in my vision as a kid growing up. I had two amazing parents and three brothers, and a lot of people just viewed our family as like the quintessential like Christian family, which is hard for my family, especially because we weren't the perfect Christian family. With me growing up and growing into different sins and patterns and habits just as a human, it was really hard. There was lots of shame, specifically in the area of lust. And it's really hard whenever you grow up your whole life sharing a room with your brother, and then all of a sudden a brother moves out and now you have your own room. And at our age, there's technology. I spent a lot of time learning things on YouTube. I spent a lot of time wasting time on YouTube. I spent a lot of time connecting with friends and learning things on social media. I spent a lot of time wasting time on social media. And that, as I grew more curious and growing, that became to the inherently wrong stuff of pornography, of looking at other people and comparing myself to them, comparing my family to other families, comparing my life to other people's lives. And that comparison was super detrimental to my mind, to my heart, to just me as a whole. A lot of this culminating to my senior year in high school. I got into a relationship with a girl and it ended super quick, but I was super quick for my mind to run. So as soon as I got in my first relationship, I thought that meant that it was the one. I thought it was one and done. I thought this is the way that life is. You meet someone and then life is perfect. And whenever that bubble is shattered, whenever that snow globe is shattered, you have different places to run. So I did learn to run to God. And I did learn that he was my father and willing to protect me. But many times, like the Israelites, they would run to God, but they would also run to other things, other gods. And I thought it was super interesting how God could break the chains of the Israelites. And as soon as they get out into the desert, they immediately want to go back. They immediately want to go back to slavery. That resonates so much with me. In my story, God breaking chains of so many different things, whether it's anxiety, fear, lust, ungodly beliefs, ungodly habits, and he breaks them. But then I get so afraid because I'm so tied to these things that I just want to run right back. So coming into 516, I was really trusting God with my life. And I was really just hoping that he would lead me wherever he wanted to lead me because I had no idea where my life was going. One of the biggest things that God gave me in 516 was my relationship with Nick. Nick was my roommate in 516 and even after, and we grew a ton together. We walked a ton together. In 516, we got to have our tripod sessions, which is what we called our accountability, with me, Nick, and Steven. I got to share things. We got to share things with each other that were so real. I had shared deep things with others, but this was another level because of the consistency and because of the tight-knittedness of it. And that really allowed me to see that, like, man, God loves me in the midst of all of my brokenness and all my sin. He loves me, and he loves us. In the sense of the soldier analogy, he's given me a brother in arms. And so when we talk about purity and lust and the sin, our sinful hearts and our sinful minds, I feel like we don't fully understand it because whenever God saves us, he gives us a new mind. He renews our minds. We don't have the spirit of fear. We don't have this mind of sin. He's given us a new mind and a new heart. And so we're fighting from purity. Someone gave me a word one time about my life and how they saw me leading an army of angels in to storm the gates of hell. The gates are supposed to protect the camp of hell, but we actually stormed the gates of hell. And I think that's crazy. And whenever my friend gave me that word of that I'm going to storm the gates of hell, not by my power, but by God's power, and we get to storm in from a place of purity, from a new heart. And I always think about, like, who's inside the gates of hell? In Narnia, if you remember that movie, in the first one, The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, Edmund gets captured. He gets seduced. He gets tempted by the White Witch, who says she's the Queen of Narnia. But really, she's fighting with a different agenda in mind, and she actually is fighting against Edmund, but he doesn't know that. And so he gets taken captive by the enemy camp. And Aslan tells his army to go and get Edmund back. And at the words of Aslan, they did it. And I thought it was so interesting, that scene where they go and get him. It's like it was nothing. The army of God and the commanders in God's army, they were just waiting for Aslan's word to go and rescue their brother back. And I think that's so symbolic about how we, a part of God's family, we're just awaiting the word to go and rescue our brothers from the enemy's camp. And some of us have no idea. And our brothers that are stuck in the enemy's camp, they have no idea either. And for a lot of us, that was us. For me, I was Edmund. For my brothers, we were Edmund. And we were just awaiting God's army to come and take us out of hell. We were stuck in Sheol. But God came and rescued us for that. So coming out of 516, kind of a spiritual high. We've had a really tough year. And I was still battling with these things. I actually was probably just starting to battle with these things. Before then, I was probably just losing the battle of in my mind and not surrendering my mind to Christ, and just really losing this battle of my thoughts just being taken captive by other things instead of Christ, with lust and anxiety and fear. And so near the end of 516 was like the start of the battle. And so I began to toil and engage in this struggle. I had the weapons. I just needed a brother to fight with me. And so that was Nick. And so me and Nick, we kind of came up with this idea. We would just let each other know when we needed fighting for. And so whenever we were having a really tough day, our minds were running, we were facing anxiety, we were facing lustful thoughts, whether we wanted to go do this or look at that or think this way, we just needed to let the other person know. So we would just send pause. And we would both stop no matter what we were doing and pause. We would get to breathe and just pray and ask God for help, whether it was for yourself or for your brother. And those have been super powerful. It's so earth-shattering in the best way whenever you realize that you're not alone, because we cannot do this alone. And whenever I was given a brother to fight for me and with me, there was nothing better than that.